Hey guys, Cody DeQuisto here, DeQuisto Series Podcast. Got Byron Horton. We got a little different format for you this morning. Coming at you straight out of the mobile recording studio. That's right, the Jeep Wrangler. Um, Sitting in a parking lot, piggybacking off of some poor schmuck's Wi-Fi that doesn't have it password protected. And I got Byron joining in from his comfy home, and we both got cups of coffee. So we're gonna just touch base on a few things, right, Byron?
Right. This is going to be the Coffee with Cody podcast, brought to you by all the small crappie Cody likes to catch on the weekends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Coffee with Cody. Tune in for random whitetail BS, and I don't know. You never know what you're gonna get.
Might have to
Um,
get a little pump knowledge in.
yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm very close to the pump house, and that's where I'm heading after this is the gym to get a session in. So so uh yeah, we can definitely discuss some stuff like that. But and yeah, you like that small crappie. Those are the I couldn't believe how small that thing was. It was tiny.
It's like the tiny sheds, man. There's something about them.
I tell you what, this shed season, I found some pretty good sheds, but and I never really find tiny shed. I always find small ones, and occasionally I'll find like a spike shed, but I was finding some really small, like unique, cool sheds. And I like bringing them home to the kids too, because they like to check them out, and then they claim them as their own. Like they're like, oh, I want this one, Dad, or give me that one. And I started getting jacked up when I was finding tiny sheds. I'm not even gonna. We talked about it. I was like, hey, let's launch a tiny shed contest. It never went anywhere because that's my follow through. But um,
The
but
idea was there.
the idea was there. But I remember when I found that little palmated like 2-point shed. I was like, oh man, look at this or whatever. And I had found a couple good ones before that, and I didn't even care about them. I was all about the not even touched, and yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
so,
I
so
got a
get ready.
pretty good. It's like a 6 point side, if you will, but he's got like legit brows, legit beams, and it's tiny. It's all pencil thin, but it's a cool little shed. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, those are wild. We'll have to make sure we follow through with that. 2021, the tiny shed contest. Get ready now because we'll get sponsors and prizes, and we'll make it huge. I always thought, that being said, I was hunting like maybe it was 3 years ago, and there was this tiny little buck. It was probably its first rack, maybe its second rack, but it was like this basket. It was like a basket 7-point, right? And it had, and I don't know what happened. I'm not a scientist or whatever, but or whatever you call a rack expert, but it had like, I don't know if a tine broke or if it had a drop tine that young, but it had this ugly, palmated, solid black little like bulb coming off of its, and I didn't know if it was a growth or something like that, but it was coming off its rack. And it was like this little tiny, the thing probably scored like, I don't know, 50 inches. Like it was like this little basket sized deer with a drop tine. And I was like, I just remember looking at it, and I filmed it, and it came by. I seen it multiple times, but I'm like, man, what would it be like to like sought after like these tiny deer, like, and how hard would it be to kill them? Like, because you're looking for big deer sign or big deer, or like just trying to find like that's the rarity. And I was thinking about like flipping it on the script and like, man, what if it was all about getting like the smallest, coolest, unique looking deer, and how hard would it be to just to find a specific year and a half old deer, like through all the small deer sign, and just,
You
I
walk
don't know.
by big rubs and disgust. You're like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
no,
Oh yeah.
not
No,
here.
that can't be him. Like, we gotta get the hell out of here. I don't know, but it was unique. It was interesting.
That's cool,
So
man.
put that in your pipe and smoke it. Figure that out once. See if you can target a basket rack and get him dead. Yeah, you probably could. But
That'd be sweet. That would be
no, I
cool.
just thought deeper into it, and I think that theory's got some holes in it. But anyway.
Nice. Well, any other whitetail stuff you're doing these days? I know you've been fishing a little bit. Any other things on the docket before we get into the new stand?
So yeah, I haven't I don't do too much whitetail stuff per se at this time of year. I will in the next month or so. Like now I've seen, so even, going back to the last couple days of turkey season, running around in Wisconsin, I was actually seeing some deer, starting to sprout up, and actually even coming out past the ears. Not really horseshoeing yet, but they were starting to grow. So now I think just the other day, actually, I was driving around looking for a lake to do some fishing, and I seen a good buck with a sizable rack that you can start to kind of see what they're looking like. Now is when I get a little bit fired up when I actually see a rack on them. I don't like to do too much messing around. And even now, I just like to let them grow. As soon as they start to where like I think they're peaked out, I'll start poking around and setting up some cameras. But other than that, man, yeah, I'm not really doing too much. Just kind of laying low, enjoying the summer, doing some fishing, trying to spend some family time, because I do plan on being uh, I guess missing a lot this fall. So I got
I
I
hear
got
you. I've got my cameras out. I think I've got like 80 or 90% of them out in a couple different pieces. And yeah, I feel like now is the time. Like if I see maybe a colder day or an evening rain, I'll be more inclined to go glass or drive.
yeah. I mean now you can at least get a look at them, cover some ground in the vehicle, check some of them open fields and stuff. But um, yeah, it'll probably be a good. I'd say probably the end of this month. I mean, we're coming up on the 4th now,
Yeah.
or July. Yeah,
I
come August, all bets are off, man. It's like them them racks are growing. I mean, I'm getting fired up, and it's a countdown. At
I
that
know
point,
I know you get fired up when you send me a picture of corn that's starting to turn.
dude. As soon as I'm telling you, that's like my clock. It's funny you say that because I. It sounds bad, but like I could not. Just because I'm routine, I'm passionate, and like if I it'd be like me having a broken arm and then me hanging around the gym. It,
Oh
like
yeah.
it's just it would just piss me off to live in hell. So I try not to think about whitetail right now. Like literally, it's weird. I mean, like people get shocked when they think about it, but like no, I don't even want to. I don't even want it to enter my brain because it irritates me that it's that far away and I can't. I don't know. It's just probably just a weird quirk I have, but that's my clock right there. As soon like that first temperature drop in like early September or like when that corn, you drive by and you got this, it's solid green everywhere. And when that corn switches to that hue of yellow, I know it's like, oh shit, it's
Yeah.
15 days and like these bucks are gonna start freaking dropping velvet and like, so yeah, that
And it's
fires me
like
up.
the first row, the outside row starts to turn, and then it's a few
Yep.
rows, and oh yeah, I know you get fired up. You've sent me a text, be like, Byron, it's coming.
Yeah, oh
That's all
yeah.
it. That's all it is a picture of corn turning. Byron, it's coming.
It's yeah, it's that's when the game starts. That's when it's on. That's when it starts to really take over my thought process because um it's not too far away. And then, and right when that happens, like you start to get those cool mornings and that man, yeah, it's see, I'm getting fired up just thinking about it.
I know. I can tell. I
Stop.
can tell. I can tell
Yeah.
the temperature rise. You getting frisky.
I just
But
can't
let's
believe how close it's getting.
yeah, let's jump the DS.5.
Yeah.
One, I think we should update the people on potential availability, and then let's kind of dive into the birth of that baby.
Yeah. So I mean, we're looking right now. I think so dad's up at the facility right now, actually assembling stands. Um he is I think I guess the layout right now, they are assembling 1.0s. Camera arms are being shipped as we speak. Um, and the next on the cut list is the DS5 and the climbing sticks. So we're trying to, we're really trying to do a good job of, first in, first out. So people that ordered their sticks and their stands, quite some time ago, like those are going out first, obviously. And although we've really wanted to start cutting that DS5 first, we wanted to fulfill a lot of that stuff. So that'll be shipping the DS5 probably in the next couple weeks. I mean, at
Yeah,
the latest. But I think that's a
I think we lost Cody.
okay.
just a quick technical issue, the mobile recording studio glitch, but we're back. And Cody, you were saying, a couple weeks on the DS5. Let's talk about the birth of that baby. Like, how was this concept of, did it come from concept to product? Talk a little bit about how you came up with, hey, we're going to make the 1.0 just a touch smaller and a touch lighter, and kind of its purpose.
Yeah. So, really, I guess it all kind of stemmed from, the original design of the 1.0 was to make the lightest possible, combination setup, with that and the sticks, without sacrificing any size or room on a hang on. So what you see there is actually bigger than a lot of standard like platform and seat sizes. So like once we did that, and coming in as light as it was like it was awesome. It was a game changer. It was lighter than anything out there. But so I guess to dive into this past season, there was a lot of field testing done, that I just do personally myself with combinations. So sticks, stand, what you're going to do, how many sticks, what style stick, how you stack them on your stand, and even things like the J hook or little tweaks now that we've done to the stands this year. Like the 1.0 you get this year will not be the same 1.0 as last year. There's some improvement. There's some tractions in it. There's, I was actually recently talking with Garrett Benner about some improvements that we just made, and little things like, I think you'll appreciate this, Byron. So the thing that pissed me off the most this entire year of running the setup, that I actually personally modified on my stand, that was one of the first things that I was like talking with Dad about, hey, we got to change this for this year, was so when you stack your sticks onto the stand, in order to get that flush or the flushest mount and have them be more secure, you have to go under the cables. Well, that was driving me nuts. I hated having to lift up the cable and slide the stick under, and then the V bracket would catch on it and all this stuff. And I was just like, it sounds small and trivial, but it was pissing me off like beyond. It was irritating the hell out of me. So I'm like, we need grooves cut into the surface of the platform at an arc that cable just sits down, recessed into the stand. You don't have to lift it up. You literally just put everything over it. And now actually it probably wouldn't matter too much because of the J-hook design, which shout out to Zach Robb and Dad. They kind of got together on that collab and came up with those, and those are available now. And I think a lot of guys are like loving the hell out of those and really jacked to use those this year.
No more gear ties, Cody.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not something that I personally ever even thought about, because I'm just, me, I'm just so anal with my belts and my straps and what I do as far as packing up my stand, that I never had that issue. Like I would run my strap, I run it the same way every time, and I figured out a system that like my shit didn't move. So it was never really a question to me, but a lot of guys were running no buckles. A lot of guys were not really figuring out the best rhyme or reason to that. So now with these J hooks, you can literally run that thing down. I mean, you could throw that stand off a building and those sticks ain't coming. I mean, like, and I'm not kidding. Like there's no way they can come off. It's just, they're locked in. So, but yeah, so those developments, but yeah, that was one of the biggest kind of pet peeves I had this year, was just the cables, and we've added a recess in there. So those cables sink down into the platform and don't provide that issue anymore, as well as traction too, just foot grip in the main placement, on the stand. But not to get off on too much of a tangent. So, yeah, testing. So the biggest thing, so I've been getting for years, a lot of people asking me, or like, hey, why don't you try out the saddle, especially, or the saddle platform, or like, you got to try a saddle platform. Like, hey, you don't sit in the stand long, you're constantly moving around. Like, you got to do the saddle. If you ever hunted saddle style, you never go back. And I've been hearing that for years, actually. And I just never took the time to actually dive into it. So this year I did, and I think I can honestly say I gave it a chance. I gave it the old college try, if you will.
How many hunts or did you use it sparingly through October, and then said, what, tell me how many hunts you give it?
So, and actually, so if you look at, I tried to break this down like you do, Byron, and I really tried to, like, come out with some facts. So I started crunching some numbers, and I mean, so, and I never pinned it down yet, but I started the process of literally looking at how many times I hung the 1.0 this year and sticks.
Yeah.
And I mean, I, I mean, it's like, I mean, I think it was like, let's say, you got multiple stands a day, every day. And typically I hang about one, typically I hang about two, sometimes three. Three is rare, but at least two, if not like hands down one every day.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking 200 to 250 stand hangs in a season easily. I mean, like, um I mean, maybe 200. Like
I
it's
think 200 is a pretty easy number because I do some rough math. I hunt if upper 30 times a year, and some of those are two hangs in a day kind of thing. So yeah, you hunt more than I do, and so yeah, that 200 number is not
so,
unfathomable.
so think about, yeah. So I mean, you got, let's say, I mean, at least 75, 80 days of hunting, like, and I'm really good at managing my time. I will, and that's where I need, even I'm in more need of a good mobile setup, is like I might jump out, hit that first couple hours, like always before work, like mornings definitely, and then I am scrambling to get my shit done at work so I can literally get out. If I can make it up in a tree for the last 45 minutes of daylight, like, well, that's prime time anyway, so fuck it, so that's what I'm looking to do. And I always got to stand in the truck, so I'm jetting back or I'm finding a spot. So there's a lot of stand hangs. So I think I went through October, or pretty much the entire October, pinning down my desired combination for the 1.0 and sticks. Like, just, it was really about sticks, and we talked a lot through that. And I started with, like I always liked, 3 full length, realized that I didn't need that many. Then I went to 2 full length, and I was rocking 2 full length for a while. Then I dove into the compacts and really got hooked on the compacts, because I went from 4, then I tried 3, and I actually ended with 2 compacts in the 8ers, and I was getting anywhere I needed to get, and it was just, that ended up being my combination. But so sort of so I mean, there was a lot into that, and that's what I ended with at the season too. But then I kind of told myself mid-season, for some reason, I don't know why, I was just, I guess, in the dicking around phase, but I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give this saddle stuff a shot, like. And then I went in with the saddle platform, and I think I probably was um probably a
I was
probably
gonna
a
I was
what's
gonna
that?
say a week or two because you and I were talking, and you'd be like, "Hey, I figured this out. I like this about the platform," or "Hey, I'm turning around and facing this. I'm doing this with my rock climbing harness."
Yep. I was a solid probably 14. I was so solid couple weeks into it, right? So I mean, look at that, and then and now we're getting toward the rut. Some of those days were three set days. I mean, you're looking at, like, I mean, I don't know, maybe. I mean, I probably hung that thing and hunted out of it a good 40 times, which, some people might think that's plenty for me to get a view of, because even halfway through that is when I started having to change. Like, literally, I didn't hunt out of that thing probably 5 or 6 times before I started seeing holes in the strategy. Like, and I was trying to adopt it. Like, I was trying to be in my rock climbing harness like it was a saddle, leaning back, like hunting, like. And I very, very quickly realized that was not the way for me. And
Mm,
I think, and I've talked to a lot of hardcore saddle guys, and I firmly believe that if you talk to anybody and they tell you that there's no holes in saddle hunting, they don't know what they're talking about. Like, the good saddle hunters will always say, like, there is, you will get in these situations sometimes where it'd be nice to have a hang on, and they know that they're different tools and there's benefits to each of them.
yeah.
So and I can agree to that. Like, there's been times where, like, there's some stuff that I wanted to get in that was so gnarly and tight that I'm like, well, if I had I don't know. But then there's always holes in the shooting aspect for me, and that's where it comes down to. I think a lot of these guys are using platforms that they can't even stand on without being leaning. So I don't know. So my first gravitation from the saddle platform, my first thing was, I couldn't in my mind, like I was always up there and there was too big of a dead area. And then I'm like, okay. And then I was having to hang the stand a certain way. Like I was having to, like, I was getting my hands tied with the stand I was using versus like just hunting. And then I think it was about a week into it. And then I kind of slapped myself in the face and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You're letting, just to use this platform, you're letting it dictate where you need to be. And that's what I've always preached. And I'm like, what the hell, man? So then I literally threw it. I was like, you know what? I'm never using this thing again. Like, you know, I like discredited it. And then a couple days went by and I went back to the old system and I was like, no, okay, you got to go back, like, go back. So I went and I grabbed it back. I really wanted to make it work because I loved the benefit of the size and the weight too. Like now that also comes hand in hand. I apologize for jumping around, but that was also the second thing that I hated the worst about it. So here you got this awesome setup now with the 1.0 stand that carries your gear. And it literally, that took, that cures a lot of problems, right? So now I'm going back, I'm giving up that feature and I'm going to this stand, this saddle platform style. And now I'm having to reconfigure my entire gear setup, how I carry my pack, how I carry my bow. And it took about a week just to get that down pat, which I did. It's a completely different system, but it was very efficient. And I liked the lightweight. And since the later the season goes on, the more I move. So, and I'm moving a lot now. Um, so then anyway, I picked it back up again. And then I got out there, but I said, you know what, screw that. I'm not hunting this like I'm not doing this saddle thing anymore. I don't like it. It makes my feet hurt. I don't like the position. Like I could never get comfortable. And now I'm not in some, big expensive saddle, but no, it ain't for me. So I took the stand and I started hunting out of it like a hang on. I just turned around, hooked up to the tree.
The ambush. You
Yes,
were hunting opposite. You were hunting it like it
I
was a
was,
tree stand out of the
yep.
ambush.
I took the ambush and I was like, screw this. I'm just going to treat this like it's a mini hang on with no seat. And then that's when everything really started to click for me and I was getting into a groove. And I loved it that way. I was using the compact sticks with aiders, the ambush, and I was running so hard. I wasn't sitting down. I was hunting a couple hours in each spot and I was moving like constantly and it was perfect. I mean, I won't say it was perfect. It was a little small, I mean, so, but, so then I ended up hunting quite a bit, passed up some good deer, got some really good footage using that stand mid-season, and then I went back to what I know best and I switched back over because I still like to hang on better. And that's where I spent the remainder of the season really taking note at how much of the platform I actually used on the 1.0.
Okay, so
And
now we're getting to the birth of the DS5.
yeah, exactly. And yes, are you following? Yeah, sorry, I don't want to
No,
seem
no,
like I'm
no, no.
bouncing
We,
around,
we've
but
you we've
yeah,
led we've led the
yep,
listener, from
yep,
okay, how was the DS5 born? Well, it's because you saddle hunted a lot in October, really doing your due diligence to test that
yeah.
product, see if you like it, give it a chance. But now you're back to the 1.0. You're noticing the platform dimensions and what you really use as a hunter. And I think this is going to lead us into that DS5 birth.
Yeah, yeah. And if I look at the season in general, how I go about the season, like my style of hunting and what I do in a stand and how long I stay there and if I sit, whether I stand, that all changes throughout the year. Like it's so and come toward like and why I gravitated back toward the stand is now when it gets colder and gets later, like I I, I sit more and like, the only time I can see myself actually standing a lot is November. And and not because I don't want to be caught off guard because my setups are always how they need to be, but later, like I don't like I feel like I'm warmer when I stay like kind of crunched up and I'm kind of like folded over and it's just I like it later. So I gravitated back toward the stand. But then I took specific note, even when sitting, because when you sit, you use a little more platform than you do when you stand. But I went as far as drawing lines on the 1.0 just because I'm like, okay, what am I really using out of this? Um, so then, after the last, I'd probably say, you got pretty much 3/4 of December, the end of November through Thanksgiving, all half of January. So a lot of time then went where was taking note to that. And, pretty much at the end of the season was like, like, and that's when the development began. So we started talking. I started talking with the old man probably, you know,
It'd have to be mid-ish December because I saw the prototype, I want to say late December.
well, and this conversation began right as I was seeing the holes in the saddle platform. Like it was like,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
we need
A hybrid
but
almost.
at that time it was more like, okay, do we need like this weird large saddle stand, or do we need like this smaller hang on? It was like
Mm.
there was still things I was trying to work out in my head what would work best, and then we started that conversation. But then and really where the platform comes into play is like, okay, I wanted to see, we started development of that mid-season, but it was like, where is going to be the money size of the platform? What's going to be the money size of the seat? How are we going to do this, and what weight are we going to shoot for? And that's when it was like, it became apparent that like, okay, we need a hybrid. We need a stand that a guy can take, and it is smaller, lighter, which, a year previous, we're like, why do we need to go lighter than 1.0? Because it's so light. But we need it smaller, lighter, and it needs to be a complete, like, dual purpose. Like you could 100% hunt out of this thing with your saddle platform, cock the platform down, use the even seat as like a pivoting point for your knee. Rest your bag on there. Like the benefits of that one at that 0.5 as a saddle hunter, and I've talked with some good saddle hunters, not myself, that you're getting is crazy. You get up there, you have a stand now that is literally only a pound and a half, probably heavier than some, like most of the lightweight stuff. And guys, I think, aren't even taking into account their other gear. But so now you've got something that you're not sacrificing a bunch of weight. It now carries your stuff easier. You got a better way to carry your gear. Now you have little added benefits too, like, okay, a positional change of the knee rest with the seat. You have the seat that comes down and actually is it's a little station where you can put your bag on and work out of and do this stuff. You have more platform room that you can stand, take pressure off your legs. You can lean if you want. There, with the additional leveling adjustments that were in the 1.0 that are now in the DS.5 too, like you can really get that hard angle and do the old lean and have your bridge way out. Like, so it is awesome for that, to whereas you can also turn around, sit on it like a stand, and you can literally decide when you get to your spot, what you're going to do and how you're going to hunt it. And that was the goal. So, and there's a lot of guys that I think will use it that will never use it like a saddle stand. And then there's a lot of guys that'll never use it like a hang on, but this gives you that option. And
Yeah.
the one thing that you never want to be in a position is you never want to have that option. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, why would you? If you can cover all the bases, it's like, it's a and I know there's people that argue like, oh, well, something that does everything, or something that does multiple things does nothing well. Well, that is a false statement with this. And this is a I guess this is proof to that statement being complete bullshit, because this right now, you have the optimal ample room to hunt traditionally and to hunt saddle style. Because really, when you look at it too, the redesign and the shape of this was made smaller, but also the configuration and the dimensions were changed a little bit to keep the meat of the standing room where it needed to be, and also keep the seat just big enough, but also provide that extreme lightweight and all the features that the 1.0 had, which is the huge thing.
Yeah, I think for saddle guys filming, at least something that I noticed when I've done some saddle hunts or filmed some other people hunting, is when you get up there and your platform's there. I've always, when I've stand hunted, put my bag there on the seat and got my filming gear kind of organized, whether it be an arm or the camera itself. And when I went to saddle hunting, that was a totally different process, and I felt like it was more difficult. So for the saddle guy that films, he could look at that as like, I don't know, a decent ad as far as he can still saddle hunt out of it, but for getting prepped for his hunt, it's significantly easier because you got that built-in shelf.
Well, and that's a big thing too. So that when I went with the saddle, there were so many little things that I hated just about. So you brought the idea of the seat as a little workstation, which I do as well. But I also, like, one thing I've always done, and I don't think people utilize this feature enough, I've always hung my pack off the actual seat of the stand. I use those accessory hooks. I hate screwing in bow hooks every time I get there, or pack hooks, or even having to strap something around a seat. I hate it. Now I use smaller backpack. Well, actually, I've hung medium size, like full backpacks, double strap off that seat hook, and you can do it. And the whole point of that seat design is you can lift your seat, put it down, and it doesn't, nothing falls off there. So I always use that for my pack, especially when I'm running like a small fanny or something. I'm up there, I hang my pack right on that seat hook. I hang anything else I need to access right off the other one, like my rangefinder, because I'm not one of those guys that wears a shooting harness or has some sort of I don't like anything on my person really obstructing me, other than maybe like binos that I have wrapped way around my back. So um that was one of the big things I hated too. That, and then the bow holder as well. Like, I've always utilized the bow holder in the stand. And when I don't, I have a screw-in one, or I have something like that, but I don't like to use it.
Yeah.
I've always utilized those couple things. So, having those was important to me too. And the ability to sit, man. Like, it's nice to be able to sit down sometimes.
Yeah.
Even if you're saddle hunting out of that thing, like 100% of the time, and you're one of those guys that's crazy as shit, and you're out there for 10 hours in the winter or something, like, tell me you ain't going to want to loosen up that bridge every once in a while, turn around and just sit down for a second.
Sure.
I mean, I think that's a big benefit of it too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I definitely, I'm playing. Yeah. I definitely like, what you did there. And it's funny you talk about some of those little hacks that you have as a mobile hunter, from hanging your bag without needing to add a bow or, adding a hook to the tree, the built-in bow hanger. I just actually added a bow hanger to my 1.0, because of watching you and those little 45-minute hunts, or, you talk about being able to set up a hunt in 6 minutes. And I think some of that is because you have a lot of these little hacks
yep.
to make it quicker and faster.
The name of the game is efficiency, really. And I used to have the little bow holders all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always down and up. I'd always be forgetting them in the tree, or whether I'm trying to get set up fast, and the last thing I want to do is be reaching up to screw something in. Like, that sort of movement is just, anytime you can keep things tight, keep things close to your body, so that branching out, reaching up, doing all that, like, yeah, I get up. I'm close to that tree. I'm hanging everything super efficiently. I get the stand set. I literally take one step into it, hang my pack right on the seat. My bow goes right in the stand. Like, and in that way, when I want to get out too, it's the same thing. It's reverse steps. You're not having to remember that screw and bow holder or whatever, or do this. And that's where too, like the camera arm, if you're running the pocket arm, it's awesome because you're setting one thing to a tree, and then you hang your pack right on that camera arm. Like, it's got that nice hook. It actually shores up and makes the camera arm a lot more sturdy too, with that weight on there. And then it's accessible. It's right, within arm's reach if you're sitting down or standing up. So, yeah, there's been trees that I hunt too in the past, like, coming to this conclusion where sometimes I can't even get a screw in them. They're so hard. It's like this, locust or something, or I'm like sweating my ass off trying to screw something in or reach up, or then I screw it in and it's a little too high, and I'm like, God damn it, and reaching for your bow, like, if you don't have that bow and something gets in on you and you got to reach for that thing, good luck. It's like, it's a pain in the ass.
That's so true. So Cody, back to the DS.5, like, when you look at maybe the 2020 season, the 2020 season, one, do you see yourself bouncing back and forth between the 1.0 and the DS.5? And what would you say to a guy who's maybe on the fence? Like, hey, I want to invest in a DeQuisto series stand. I'm debating on the two. Talk to me about that.
I, for one, don't see myself ever going back to the 1.0, really. Because it was one of those things where,
bold statement.
Yeah, I don't need or require that much room. And that's when it really dawned on me, when I started making lines on that platform, and really seeing, and I'd take note every day, and you could just see, like, I'll have to get a picture out there, but you can see the wear and tear, if you will, of like my stand, and it's
Oh, sure.
literally like it's weird, but I mean, from dirt, mud to scuffs to stuff like that, like the nose of my stand was pretty much like untouched a lot of times, and I don't use that much, but for a guy debating, um it's all going to be on your particular preference of room and how comfortable you want to be, and like whether you stand or sit. Like, I know me and you have talked, and you're already like, oh, okay, well, I'm using the DS5 for the missions, and then the 1.0 is still going to be my now, like, and that's a very, very good point. But I'm not the guy who has different, like, I'm hunting the same all year, time in the stand. Like, if I was gonna go up to Canada or something, and I knew I was gonna be sitting in like one tree for like the entire day, and I needed that little more comfort, and it was just like I couldn't do that anyway. I'd scratch my eyes out. But then I'd probably go the little more size, because you're still ultra lightweight. You still got the features and all the benefits like of both models. It's just it sucks because it really comes down to personal preference.
Yeah.
Do the 2 pounds, actually, what is it going to be? Actually, it's 3 pounds. Does that make, where are you? It's like a guy buying building a race car or whatever, or buying a mountain bike or whatever, or how much is the weight, or what I'm saying? How much
Hmm.
is the weight important to you versus, you know, I guess they both have all the same benefits. It's just one's got more room,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
so.
any sort of hybrid hunter, it's not even a debate. DS5 all the way. I myself, if I look at track history, like I generally am a rut killer, and that just comes sitting a long time, and so I am definitely leaning the 1.0 come November, but like October missions, yeah, I'm saying that DS5 is going to be the mission type stand for a guy like me. Um,
And
and don't get me wrong, I like you hate changing gear. I hate changing packs, but I do see, because the DS5 and the 1.0 are like the same, just a smaller, tighter, lighter version. I will go ahead and use both, I think, in the 2020 season.
and that's where you can have, you know everything everything incorporates and works with both stands the same way too. So it's not a crazy gear change by just swapping that, or even, and for instance, I thought about this because late season and in January, like, you got a lot more clothes on, you're more bulky, like it,
Bigger
at that
boots.
point in time, yeah, it's like it's a little bit more beneficial to have a little bit more standing room. So I
Hmm.
mean, that would be, I could see, if anything, maybe a change there. I probably won't though, because I don't think I will, but for somebody looking in, like really looking at his entire season, and looking at weight, and because I've also had people, there's so many people out there though that are freaking just, I mean, they're the real deal, and they're diehards, and weight does not mean a damn thing to them. Like, when it comes to splitting hairs like that,
Yeah.
it's like, and I think you've said that to me at one point too, when we were even talking about different models, I think, of the first stand, like, hey, well, we can come in at this weight, or we can come in at this weight, like, we're just trying to, get some outside of, and you're like, dude, if it's, I'm choosing function over a pound any day. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
it's one of those things where, like, if you lose something trying to get weight, well, then I think you start to go the other direction.
Right, right. Because at the end of the day, it's about antlers hitting the ground, you know?
Yeah, yeah, you don't want to just, I mean, it's like these guys out there that are, throwing a rope grapple over a branch, and literally using an ascender to get up there. Yeah, they go into the stand with nothing to climb the tree, but like, dude, like, how efficient are you at that, and how quick are you getting in your stand? How stealthy, and are you able to do it twice
Yeah.
a day, every day for 90 days? Like, I mean, how, or and it comes down to how much you're hunting too, but I guess it's just, and are you killing anything? Has that been successful for you? I know it's a cool way to do things, but is it working out? And if
Yeah.
it's not, you might want to change. So
Well, Cody, I think we went off on several tangents here, a little longer than we kind of anticipated, but I think this was really good. There was a lot of good flow, good hunting talk. Do we have anything we want to wrap up here as far as more DS5 stuff, or just general public, keeping people in the loop on anything?
Um, I don't know. Um, I think that pretty much touches it. Just to kind of circle back on that, we do have um, the DS5s, I believe, open for order now,
Yeah.
and they will be shipping in a couple weeks. As soon as I think probably this next coming week, we're gonna do a big release of um, a lot of specifics and images of that stand too, like the final, the different coating, um, the whole new line essentially. So if you have an order in, we appreciate that. Be patient. We're trying to get everything done up right and out to you. And if you haven't got one yet, you might want to snag one because
They're going to be hot.
they are definitely going to be hot. So we're really hoping, and that's why we were definitely urging guys to. There's a lot of people who know they want one for the fall specifically, but we're kind of holding off on ordering it right now. And I don't think that'd be a good idea. I just don't know. Um, I don't know how many are going to be available come that time. And not trying to push a sale, but just the manufacturing process on these things is it's longer than the old castings we used to do. Like we're not, you can't crank out castings like you do a water jet and machine stand. So
That's
it's, it takes a little longer. It's a little bit more finesse process, but I will say this, man, I be prepared to have your mind blown when you get it though. I mean, we got some seamless machining now, and they look pretty sweet. So
yeah, yeah. And then I did see a teaser pic of the double sticks or the double step sticks that you guys are in the final stages, still testing, from what I understand. And but that's something you guys are working for.
oh yeah, we put some serious weight on those things the other day in the old testing lab. Yeah, no, we've been testing those, getting different cut configurations now for a long time actually. And one thing I will say about those is if you are looking like, I mean, it if you're a guy who likes double steps, um, there is no double step out there that is as light or packs down as compact as these. Um, and these are the step for you. Like hands down, that's it. There's no question about it. The way they stack together, the 3/4 inch profile, or actually 5/8, and they stack. I mean, they're insane how they stack. They integrate with the stand. Um, it's just
It's going to be a good product for you guys and for that customer that's been wanting to have those feet level, if you will, whether they're hanging stands, cameras, or whatever.
Yep. It's if you are a double step guy and you like that, you'll love these. I think one of the biggest things that people, when they look at it, where they're trying to wrap their head around, is the connection points to the tree. Now, and what I say about this is, because even when we started with this, and I was skeptical at first, and I have even been the one to try and gravitate back toward a traditional bracket, but um, after extensive testing now, these studs, I'm calling them. So the double stick attaches to the tree, like the one piece. Now, this is also, you have to take in mind, this is a solid cut out one piece 4-step design. So you want to talk about durability and strength, like there is no possible way in the world this stick is going anywhere. I mean, at the very worst, you run over with your truck and you bend it a little bit, you could still throw it on a tree and use it. Like that's what's so awesome about these stands being one, even the stand platform. You could crush that thing in a garbage truck or whatever and hop up on it and use it like a taco. So it's cool because of that property of the material. But so these things have, no moving parts, and now the studs that connect to the tree is actually that's exactly what it is. It's a stud, right? So these studs insert into threaded fittings on the one piece step or stick, and they actually allow it they allow these sticks. Jeez, I can't even. It's like a tongue twister here with all these S's. So allows them to stack so flush and so compact, because you don't have the big bulky V's. And when these things get on a tree too, I mean, they freaking bite like crazy, man. It's just it's a cool, an awesome design, and I think it's going to be one of those things that might be a little hard for people to kind of grasp. But as soon as you get those things and you put them on a tree, you're like, oh man, like these just solid as a rock. And yeah. So those, I'm looking forward to those too. I'm not going to speak on the release of those just yet, because I do know that those are even on the cutting schedule after the 0.5. So I don't want to give any dates for that. But they will be available soon, and we will have those like for the fall. So, and I'm sure we'll be opening up orders very, very quickly here.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, to wrap things up here, guys, if you're not a member of the Mobile Hunters United page on Facebook, we've been putting stuff out there, pretty cool threads. By all means, jump on that forum. Whitetail Addictions is releasing every Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern. So be sure to tune into that and watch some of these big bucks from 2019 hit the ground. Other than that, Cody, any other final thoughts?
No, I think that's it. You covered it pretty well. I mean, if you want to check out any of the products, go over to www.lonewolfcustomgear.com. You can find anything you need to over there. Sign up for the email list for special promotions, and follow us on the social media, Instagram, Facebook. We try and do a good job of keeping people updated through that as well. And yeah, I think that's about it.
All right. Be sure to watch Cody's stories for more small crappie. We'll see you.
Until next time.